Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Krishna Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachachati Shatani
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachachati Shatani
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhattavinda
Jaya Shri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhattavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Not go to Vaishnava Vrinda. Oh, glorious be the symbol of the devotees. Oh, glorious be the symbol of the devotees. Oh, glorious be the symbol of the devotees. Oh, glorious be the symbol of the devotees.
So just a little introduction. So today we're honored to welcome Jaya Srila Prabhu and Vimala Devi Dasi, both senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada and long-standing members of ISKCON, which is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. They've been practicing and teaching Bhakti Yoga since the 1970s, spanning decades of service across New Zealand, Australia and India. Jaya Srila has served as temple president in both Auckland and Sydney, and he was ISKCON's Global Minister for Grihastha and Community Development. He's also a trained Steiner educator and experienced teacher in New Zealand and also at the Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education. Vimala is also an experienced teacher and has offered compassionate guidance to communities for many years in the areas of family life, children and parenting and personal growth. And together they now travel internationally presenting courses such as this one. And they've been offering these courses in over 20 different countries. So please join me in warmly welcoming them today.
I always say at the beginning, after you've had an introduction, that's the best part of the seminar. Everyone says how wonderful everything is, that you can do this and you can do that. But unless you are here with us, you can't do a lot, really, can you? So I just acknowledge you we acknowledge you for taking your time to focus on such an important aspect of our Krishna consciousness movement, an important aspect of life itself, is how to bring out the very best in our children. And we're going to introduce so many things today. One of them would be that if we want to have first-class children, put your hand up if you'd like your children to be great, to have great children. Yeah. So we're going to look at turning the energy around so that it's the right way up, and if we, in many aspects of what we'll present today, it will be like that. And the first one we're going to turn around is that if we want our children to be great, it means that you, as parents, have to be great. We can't expect the children to be great if we're not being great. So great children require great parents to know how to nurture their greatness, to bring it out, and in that way, because our Shastra, the philosophy explains, Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. The Mahatma, Maha means great, and Atma is soul or a person. So to become a great person is very rare. It's not so common. Usually people don't come to that direction in their life. They just sort of carry on with life whatever way they happen to experience it. But throughout Krishna consciousness, we are requested and encouraged to try and follow the path of the great persons. Not that we, it's not a, sometimes we even use that word great, we think, oh, who are we to be great? I thought we were supposed to be humble. Yeah, being humble is great. If you're actually humble, it's a great quality to have, and there's many other great qualities. So that's the purpose today. We're going to look at how we can shift the paradigm that realigns our focus from struggling, say, with our children, trying to... Thank you. That's good. Good, I'll keep talking. Is that... Yeah, it seems... Yeah. Turn up. Thank you. Often we get it wrong when we're trying to bring out the greatness. We think you should find when the children are doing something wrong, and that's the time you try and connect with them and give them all your energy and explain to them for the 50th time that they shouldn't be doing a certain activity. So we're going to suggest that that's not the best way to do that. There's another way you can bring out the greatness in your children. So that's what we hear about today, and we have a nice little quote Prabhupada mentioned about that, isn't it?
Okay, so this is everyone here. Is that good? Favorite quote. We call it the bumblebee quote or the honeybee, and it's from Srila Prabhupada purport in Adi Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is a qualification of a Vaishnav that he is a dosha das. He never sees others' faults. Of course, every human being has both good qualities and faults. Therefore it is said, Sajjana gunam ichanti dosham ichanti parama. Everyone has a combination of faults and glories. But a Vaishnava, a sober man, accepts only a man's glories or greatness and not his faults. For flies seek sores, whereas honeybees seek honey. So we're looking to be the honeybee.
And usually our default setting is not that way. Someone said to me the other day, actually, it was very interesting. He said, any idiot can find faults. And I thought, oh, I'm expert at I can find a fault. I'm really good at it. And and we all include everyone else. We all often pride ourselves in how you're able to see how things are not quite right. And he said, any idiot can do that because it's not so. But to look to the greatness and the good in others is quite another thing. And so I thought, I took that on board. I thought, yeah, I'm a bit of an idiot. I'm really always looking to see the fault. And it's very interesting how Shruti Kirti the other day when he was giving his class, he mentioned that point. He said, I'm so expert at finding the faults. So Srila Prabhupada was expert in seeing the faults. He could see, but he didn't focus. He focused on finding the small spark of interest in spiritual life, and he would fan that. He would try and bring that out so that people... I'm just trying to think if everyone who's here, the language I'll use, because it's okay, the Krishna speak. If it gets too...
Krishna
it's okay.
jargon. Is it all right for you?
I'm not sure. So I think you got the message, really. I was going to go on there, but you get the idea. So it's fanning the spark. And we use this in this seminar, greatness. And again, it's sometimes a little hard to get used to. But Prabhupada uses the words glories. So bringing out the greatness. And again, not false flattering someone to tell, oh, you're great, you're this and that. But it's actually being able to see that spark of greatness and nurturing that, and that will make the difference for your children. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Oh, yeah. And at that little juncture, there was a blue book. Here it is. Is there anybody that wasn't with us yesterday? If you put your hand up, if you weren't with us yesterday. Okay, thank you. This little book is a visitor's book. If I'll just pass it round, you can just pass it round aimlessly, just like that. And put your email address here because we're producing a podcast very soon in the next month or so, and you'll be able to get connection to ask questions and so on for further. And we'll also send you the slides. So the pen and paper that you're getting, please feel free to utilize it as much as you can, but no paper airplanes. Just because you're back in the classroom, you might throw a few airplanes. Yeah. But we will send, if your emails, he will send you the slides, so you don't need to try and, write this down, write that. Okay, do you want to be kind enough to take that, please? There is a pen in there, but thank you. Okay, now this is what, for a laugh, again, jokes. We like to keep things a little jokey. This is a changing bodies exhibition. You may be able to see this. It goes back to Melbourne in 1979, and our little boy there, Nandu, He's now 47 years old. Quite amazing when you look back and see your kids.
Time.
He's 47.
Wow.
And our baby, how's our little baby?
She's 40.
Yeah.
Saraswati. She's 40, so she's the baby.
Now this should be a little bit of fun. Oh, it's up there. Okay. It's up there and we'll see if it...
Can I just say
Please.
a word on it? This little video was played in a staff meeting for us many years ago by my principal, Prana Prabhu. Does anyone know Prana? He left the world a few years ago, great soul. Anyhow, we teach a lot of Indian children, so it is Indian, but the concept is there of our kids. We want them to be the best we can be, and maybe not good enough, that not good enough. You can do better, we've probably all been there, or we've seen it, so it's just showing it's fun, but it's also showing that. And in our staff meeting, we all cracked up because we had seen it so many times. So.
Okay, we're on. Oh, sorry, what happened?
There's a computer over here, so I'll just put the mic close to it so it comes through.
Okay.
Is it playing on here? Start from the beginning. Sound is up.
It should be up there too, but...
Oh, Dishoji! He got his A-level results!
Oh, tell me the worst.
No, it's great news. He got what he needed.
Let me see. English A, mathematics A,
A.
physics A, chemistry A. What is this?
What?
Ah,
He got a B in classical studies.
he got a B.
Does it matter?
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. My son got a B. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. My son got a... Still, it's a B. He could have got all A's. Mr. Sinha's son got all A's. But my son had to get a B.
Mr. Sinha's son only did 2 A-levels. Our son did 5 in one sitting. He's the first in his school ever to do
He
that.
could have got all A's. Mr. Sinha's son got all A's. But my son had to get a B.
Mr. Sinha's son only did 2 A-levels. Our son did 5 in one sitting. He's the first in his school ever to do that.
Doing medicine at
Yes.
Cambridge. Then he is good. Idiot! He should be doing PhD.
We don't let you do a postgraduate without a degree.
I know. That's why I was telling him to do his degree in his spare time. What's wrong with him, huh? Mr. Khanna's son is getting BSc. My son is only doing A-levels, Too busy playing football.
He got into the Millwall first team.
Millwall. Mr. Owen's son is getting into Liverpool. If my son can only get a place in Millwall, he will bring shame to the family.
But Liverpool wouldn't give him a trial.
And why is that?
Because he's 6.
Talk about high expectations.
And ego. You can see the parental ego. You will bring shame to the family. It's all about me, my son. Okay. So the approach we're going to share with you today had come from a place of desperation. A teacher for many years, and when, as a teacher, you come across some children, challenging children, and this is kind of me, not really me, but like me. I tried everything with this child, and nothing was working. It was getting...
I used to hear about it every night when she should come on.
How was school? What do I do with this kid? So I was desperate, and so I prayed to Krishna, as you do when you're desperate, and then I Googled. A difficult child was what I Googled, and the first website that came up I tuned into, and I felt, yeah, Krishna, thank you. It's got the answers I needed, things that were missing from what I was doing for this very intense child. And I went from there to transform my teaching. And that's the approach we'll give you step by step. That I don't think I would have lasted. I remember at that time thinking, I can't do this. It's not good for me, not good for the kids. But luckily it had a good ending, and it did transform my teaching and my relationship with children, my own children, and others in general.
My wife told me all about this, and I was sort of quietly interested, but not so much, because at that time I was doing relief teaching. I was going into different schools every day, and I was wondering if the approach that she connected to would work. New children completely every day. You go, a new bunch of children. But then I found I tried it, and it became relatively easy to introduce this. Did we discuss this later or no? Do you remember?
Not sure.
We'll discuss it now. So I used to be able to sit down. Maybe you can remind me about sharing this one. I know I've done it. So
You have to share it now.
it might be a little early for sharing it, but anyway. So I go into the classroom with this new approach that you're going to be looking at today, and I'd say to the kids, in about 2 or 3 minutes it would take me, I said, there's 2 ways for us to work today. I'm your relieving teachers. You know my name's Mr. Howie. Good morning. We've got 2 ways we can work. One is that we can work the conventional way. That is that we'll fight all day, and I will struggle to dominate you, and I will, because I'm bigger than you, I'm smarter than you, I've been doing this for a long time, and you'll go home thinking, I never want to see that man ever again, and I'll be going home tired and exhausted. Like that, pretty much. And then I say, the other way is that when you do something wrong, that's hands up, anyone that's ever done anything wrong in the classroom, come on, and they'll put their hands up. Say, well, when you do anything wrong, all I'm going to do is just tell you to reset yourself. I mean, they'll look at it, what is he talking about? So reset is just like in a computer. When you play a computer game, you don't get a lecture from the computer when you muck up. The computer doesn't say, this is the 15th time and your little brother did this last week. What kind of idiot are you? All you get is you're told, press this button to reset yourself, and then you're back in the game. So that's what I'm going to do. Today we're just going to say that when you do something wrong, say, James, could you reset, please? That's all I'm going to be telling to. And that means that you need to then think a bit more about what you're doing right now, and then come back into line with the rules of the class, and you'll be fine. So I said that's the option. The first option you can choose, or we can choose the second. Hands up who'd like to choose the first option. Nobody's hand goes up. Second option, they're all up. Let's try this. So this is a hint of what we're going to present today, that the energy we give to our children is far better used when it's focusing on bringing the greatness out. And so what do we do? So again, back into the James. Could you reset, please? No, children, what are we on? Page 32. Everyone turn a page. So they're not getting a connection with me. No big fuss about the misbehavior. But as soon as I see James has stopped doing what he was doing, so page 57. Wow, James, that was amazing. You reset yourself in a flash. That shows me how tuned in you are to instructions. So I'm giving some energy there, and James is thinking, wow, this is interesting. This guy's a bit different. And he's calmed down. And then we get on. And so this is the idea of what we're talking about, not to put all our energy in, James, you are so naughty, get out, sit it, and all that kind of stuff. And transfer all that into the home and see how it looks. Now, we talked about greatness. This is a short poem that is quite powerful. I'm trying to think who it is from. I'll get there at the end. Our greatest fear in life is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the... sorry. Oh, I pressed one button and it all disappeared, but I'm back on track. I reset myself. Reset. Okay. Where were we?
You are a child of God.
Good girl, well done, thank you. You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. We talked about that a moment ago. That when we access our greatness as parents, then in turn that will allow the children's greatness to shine also. But before their light can shine, we as parents have to access our greatness to be able to turn the energies the right way. As we are liberated from our own fear about being powerful beyond imagine, our presence automatically liberates others. The sources...
Marianne Williamson, you may have heard of her. You know that one? Yeah.
So, I think I'm going to stop right there. Yeah, and it's not arrogance. I'm better than other people. It's just being confident that I can be the best that I can be. Not that I'm better than everyone, but there's my better self, and if I keep accessing that, then great things will come from that. Okay, next.
So, to do this, our clear intention, we always have to have an intention with whatever we do, is to replace power struggles, and we have this in parent relationships with children, and it goes on in classrooms, power struggles and desperately trying to control with energizing our children for success. So it doesn't mean there's no control and we just let the children do whatever they like, but there's a way of doing it, a way of managing, directing, helping the children, and at the same time energizing them for success. So that's our intention here.
In teaching arena, and as parents also, I'll take it to, you can transport it over, but in a classroom setting we'd often go to some schools and we'd present this idea and the teachers are sitting thinking, I'm already exhausted when I go home, I've had 25 kids, and you want us to start telling all the kids how wonderful they are and how, etc. And they'd think it was an imposition to take on anything else. So as a parent at the moment you might think, oh gosh, this is too much, I'm going to take on this whole new way of working with it because I'm already exhausted. And yeah. So the difference is that you're still going to be exhausted. Sorry about that. By the end of the day, if we put our energy into life, we're going to be ready to go to bed. But when you utilize your energy in this method, you'll feel deep satisfaction in the energy that you've used today. And the other way, teachers, all the teachers used to say, oh, we go home for a glass of wine tonight. We can't wait to go and the guys are out to the pub or wherever they're going. So you got the choice. Next.
Okay. So, training our children which way to go. So there's different approaches to parenting, teaching. I'm going to read out the authoritarian approach. So, first one is punitive, forced compliance, sounds like the army, enforced rules, suppression, and often the result is rebellion.
I'm going to just jump in there, Vimala.
Yeah.
Just as she said that, I remember when I was doing my teacher training. In fact, no, it wasn't actually. It was after that when I went into relieving the school. And Vimala said it's like an army, a primary school. And I walked in, and the lady she was going for it. She reminded me of a male. She was so male, I couldn't believe it, and she was just barking at the kids. We have a note. This was the assembly in the morning. It was in the playground at this time, and she was barking at the kids. There's no nonsense in this school. Make sure you're on time. Make the, and she was just barking. And that was to keep the control on the children. I wasn't very impressed and very happy, and I don't think the kids,
So it's,
wasn't good.
again, we just emphasize it's not that there shouldn't be any direction or control, it's just how we do it. So I noticed, I taught for years in Vrindavan, in the school there, and it was very structured, very disciplined. Everyone was very disciplined. I was amazed at the discipline. But as I became a teacher, I started to notice what we call the blobbing out syndrome. That as soon as some of the kids would go home for holidays, and there was one particular boy who I knew from the school, and he was staying next door to us in the guest house with his parents. And as soon as it was holidays, before that, getting up for Mangalati, doing this, doing that, Mangalati at 4:30 in the morning. And then I noticed he got up, he came out at 12 at midday, and I said, Jai Gurupa, what are you doing? What are you doing up at this time? And he goes, yeah, and I haven't even taken a bath. He was kind of proud of it. I'm rebelling against. So even though it was discipline and they were getting discipline, it was the way it was enforced. I realized, wow, that's not motivating self-discipline. It's kind of to enforce. So there is a difference how you can do that. So
the pendulum was too much that way, and what happened for the last 30 or 40 years was the liberal permissive way of working with children. And if we click in the right place, so it's somewhat sentimental and all good heart. Everyone uses, they're trying to their best ability to work with their children. There's a mood of non-compliance with rules and disciplines, and the rules are very fuzzy. So it's be good, be good, and you might say to the children, be kind to the other children, but somebody's sense of what's kind is different from somebody else. And maybe we give this rule, but then we think, oh, I shouldn't be too hard on the children, and we change it tomorrow. So we back off on that rule, and the child gets very confused. Yesterday I wasn't allowed to do it, but today I am. And you see that in your own parenting. So we're going to suggest that rules should, when we'll get to that, should be very clear and then enforced. Fuzzy rules, what's coming up there? We missed one. Self-centered and confused. Okay. And nurturing Krishna's children, we've mentioned, not energizing negatives. Doesn't mean we ignore negatives. We'll show you how to work with that. But we don't put all our energy into the negative. Energizing greatness, focusing, where's that small spark of greatness, showing the child that they are being great in that moment. They may have been a little rat bag about 5 minutes ago, and they might, in the next 5 minutes, become back to where they were. But do you get that? Yeah? Yeah? With me there? They might have been really naughty, but right now, in that moment, we're focusing on the greatness they've shown and the kindness to their little sister or their little brother or whatever. Knowing full well, in the next 5 minutes, they might be at it again, the two siblings fighting. But right in that moment, they're being great, and that's where we focus, because you're going to get more of that. You're going to see the child realizing that I'm being great is a good game to play. And they're confused, and I think Vimala mentioned, sorry, I'm looking there, I should be looking in here.
Clear boundaries. Very important that the boundaries are clear, and you can sit and work out boundaries with your children, and it creates inner wealth, an inner feeling that I am successful. So we call that inner wealth, and that's the bumblebee. That's
the bumblebee type.
Honeybee, the honeybee looking for.
So we mentioned Mahatma thinking.
Okay, so we call this Mahatma thinking. Now, I told this story yesterday, so if you were here, it's my favorite story about Jayananda and the fish. Well, I'll just go over it quickly again because it shows how he took something that was actually negative and he turned it into something positive. And that's kind of what we're doing with the kids. We're trying to help them transform from negative into positive and bringing out, drawing out the best qualities. So Jayananda, great devotee in our movement. Everyone loved Jayananda. He was just the epitome of enthusiasm and humility at the same time. So they used to do Harinam, which is chanting along the wharfs in San Francisco. So he would go there every day with a party of devotees. And there were these fishwallahs or fishmen, and they did not like some of them didn't like the devotees. So one particular, the lobster kind of guys, they would throw their smelly fish water on the path just before the devotees came. Now that aggravated some of the devotees. Oh, what are they doing? How dare? And they wanted a confrontation, but Jayananda, he was the leader. No. And he went up to the fishwallahs and he said, you know, we've noticed that just before we come, you wash the path for us. Thank you so much, being so kind and considerate. And they're like, hey. And then he even had one of the Matajis cook some sweets for them, and so when they came down they'd give them the sweets, and after a little while when the devotees came, the fish, hey, here you are, and they were all friends. So what could have been a confrontation or something very negative, he turned it round. He was the bumblebee. He turned it around into something positive. That story always inspires me. So changing perception, how we see things. So we think in the classroom, I'd like to change that child. I'd really like to change. But often you have to see what's going on for that. Usually those intense children are super intelligent. It's like I've had so much experience in the classroom, they're out of the box kind of intelligence. So we've noticed that they are special kids. Now I had a boy in Vrindavan who practically drove me mad, I have to be honest. And I didn't know this approach then. So I was always trying to control this child. He was super enthusiastic, super passionate. And he tried to take over my class all the time. He'd always have his hand up. And so one day it got too much for me and I said, Atul, I've got to go outside for 5 minutes, okay? You take over the class. You're doing it anyhow. I'll come back in 5 minutes. So I just went outside and sat on the bench and waited till I kind of calmed myself down, which was a good strategy at the time. Then I came back in. I could hear kind of chaos. I thought, I better go back in. So I went back in and I said, Atul, how'd it go? And he goes, no one would listen to me. And I said, now you know how I feel. Now that boy, I went through it with him. He is the most amazing boy now. He has his own YouTube channel. He inspires so many people. He's still full of enthusiasm. And we're friends on Facebook, and he's about 38 now, right? So one day he messaged me and said, Mataji, I have to apologize. I was such a naughty boy at school for you. And I wrote back and said, I'm proud of you, Atul, for what you've become. I always tell everyone I taught you. And I just did not know what to do with your energy at that time. But I have learnt. So you'll be happy to know that. So, yeah, that's what we mean by changing the energy, seeing it in a different perspective.
Now, Vimala, Atul was very fortunate to have a teacher like Vimala in that instance. In modern times, it's a very dark picture in education for children that are intense. This whole approach was born from this, the person who put this approach together originally was a very intense person, and he was diagnosed with ADHD. We all know about this because in a classroom situation, maybe you've got 25 children in the classroom. We're in a classroom, so we can talk about classroom situations. Maybe 15 to 20 will handle it no problem, or with the normal difficulty, but they'll navigate their way through school. At least 5 to 10 of those kids will find it challenging to the max because they're just not your average kind of kid that can just adjust quite easily in all the different situations they find themselves in. So in modern times, you drug them. I've worked with children at school, and it's so sad. You could cry. You're talking to there's a boy that comes to my mind, and he was drugged. And it was tragic to see this boy. He was just half dead, and that's what we have to do because it's 2025, and that's what you do. You need kids to be in school, and teacher can only handle the ones that they can handle, and the other ones drug them. That's very generalized. Generalization, but that's what's going on. So this approach is specifically designed for difficult children, and all of our children are difficult at times. Some are always difficult, pretty much, and some, but we all have our difficulties. So the approach works in very difficult situations.
And also just for the quiet child who does everything you tell them to, they also need to be recognized, to be energized.
That's a good point.
So it's for that too. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And even Srila Prabhupada, the founder of this Hare Krishna movement, was quite an intense little boy. Because greatness, in little people is waiting to come out. So he was very intense. And Shruti Kirti, who was Prabhupada's servant and used to massage Srila Prabhupada in his older days, he pointed to a scar on Srila Prabhupada's back of his head. And he where was I? Here was I.
A scar on.
A scar on the back, back of his head. He said, Srila Prabhupada, can I ask you, how did that little scar, somehow they managed to bring up the question. And Srila Prabhupada said, when I was young, I was so determined to do what I needed to do, that one day he was throwing a bit of a tantrum. He was throwing it, and he banged his head, and it made a little scar on the back. So we don't know the child you're working with and teaching. You have to be careful, because that child is going to be 25 years old, and they're going to look at you, and they're going to remember how you were with them, and they'll love you or they will not.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
definitely.
and the other thing from this approach that we're talking about can be used with the toughest children. In the New York and an American court system, we're referring people to this approach who were gang members, knife-carrying, gun-carrying people, and you can transform them even. So you should be okay. I don't know your specific situation with your children, but it should work. I would suggest if you use this, it will bring out the greatness. Okay, where were we? We are going to the next slide. So I think we've covered dodge, changing stuff. Intensity is a good thing. And that was, okay, good. Right. So, what kids really want? An ice block?
Video game?
What? Yeah, good point. Good
Yeah.
point. Give me an idea. Who can tell me what kids want? Attention. Okay. You. Then we'll get that. Yeah, good girl.
Any others?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Have fun.
They want to have fun.
Play. Chocolate.
Chocolate. So fun, enjoyment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're going to introduce the. Okay, I better click the slide. See what it says next. You can read that.
Yeah.
Now you might give them iPods and tablets and whatever, all the games and stuff. But you are the most. You've got the most features than any machine, because you're a human being. You've got intellect and so on. And children want a loving connection with their parents. They want love. They want happiness. They want all those things. They want that. And I don't know if you've noticed that, but I remember when we were bringing up our children, my son or my daughter would sit on my knee and be sitting on my knee, and before I knew it, they were kind of crawling up and wanting to be kind of up on your shoulder. They get up there. And lo and behold, they want to sit on your head. They'll have to get right up there. Why? Because from where their vantage point is, they look up into the world and they see my mama and they see my papa, and they are God. Pretty much. You supply everything, like God supplies everything to this world, and then you as an instrument supply it to the child. So you are the direct connection. So they want your energy, and they'll do any damned thing to get it, good or bad. If you don't see the good, and you only see the bad, they'll take that. Some slides are here. Where do we go? Children want to compete for energy, and you see that in siblings. If you've got 2 or 3 kids, they're all competing to get you to pay attention to them.
We even say they push our buttons or they trigger us just to see what they can get from us. You know, some kids, and when some get that kind of heavy energy, some kids are like, ooh, that's it, I'll be good and having. But some kids will like rile you up even more because they're getting some energy at least, and they want that connection.
Now we're going to show you a short video clip again, a little bit of entertainment, but a message in the entertainment.
Yes, so in this video of a toddler putting on a tantrum, and it's pretty intense, toddlers putting on tantrum. No child was harmed. It's just showing you'll be able to see it, pay attention to when that child is trying so hard to get the parent's energy, and the parent is just walking from room to room. You'll see it. Oh.
Starting to get up.
You can see that energy principle, and what we would say in Nurtured Heart, when that kid wasn't crying, pick them up. Look at you, you've calmed yourself down. I had one boy in my class, lovely boy, and every time things didn't go his way, he would have a super meltdown. And so I used to just say to the other kids, they'd be kind of like, well, didn't go his way. I'd say, just leave him, because Nanda knows how to calm himself down. And so he'd cry for a while, and we'd just ignore him and go on with it. And then and then he'd stop, and I'd say, look, well done, Nanda, you calmed yourself down. That shows me how mature you are for a little boy. That's amazing. You can teach language with it. And then when we had parent-teacher interviews, I was talking to his mum. He was there, and he was only 5 years old, this boy. And we were saying, how's it going for you, Nanda? And he goes, when I get upset, I calm myself down. And his mother was like, well, I wish you'd do that at home. I said, well, he does. Yeah, because I energized that. I wasn't energizing his tantrums, trying to get what he wanted. I wasn't making him feel guilty for it. I was just saying, over there, bit of time out. You can work over there for a few minutes. When you come, you can come back. So that's the energy principle. And I just wanted to pick that kid up. You did, didn't you? So, but when he was calm.
Oh, a quick one.
Yep.
Yeah, you know how when we look at that video as an outsider, I'm like, yeah, of course you have to pick up that child, but when it's my own child, it's like, oh my God, here we go again.
You know.
How it's like we have all the theory, but I don't really know how to put it in practice when I'm triggered myself.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be covering all that because, yeah, I get what you mean. There is that triggering, and we'll cover that. Yeah, thanks. Good question.
And if we don't,
if you don't bring it up at the end, if you don't feel that we did it sufficiently, it's a good question. So, we're on to the next one, are we? Sorry.
So, parent coming home, not
Okay, it's you.
okay. So I'm just getting my head to go for the attachment using energy flat when kids are daughters. Okay, so you may come home, for example. So either husband or wife or come back, and if a child's at home and they're sitting, reading a book or playing a game or whatever they're doing, they're not causing any disturbance. Generally, well, let's not say generally, say often, we, especially the men, I may as well say it, there's only a couple of men here, especially the men, for example, we're old-fashioned, so we'll take it in this example that the men are out working, the ladies are sort of out working and came home earlier with the kids. So you come in and you're thinking, great, everything's cool. Wife's cooking dinner or doing after stuff and things. So you just kind of nibble through into your bedroom or somewhere and start reading the paper. We used to do, they don't do that now. Get on the computer. Whatever. It's all calm. So basically the kids are not seen when they're not causing a problem. They're not seen, and it's like, oh. So this energy is very flat, but as soon as the child misbehaves, Dad's into it. I'm on. I've got it. And that's when they get the energy. So this is not the idea. We should be looking, and we're going to show you that the first method, and there's 4 methods in this approach we'll get to. And the first of them is just letting the children know that they're being seen. Like saying, hey Alice, I see you sitting so happily just sitting reading your book. It's really, it makes me feel so happy to see you at home and just reading. And the child's just thinking, my dad or my mum sees me. And yeah. So that was just the point there.
So,
I might click it.
Yeah. Most parents, teachers, we don't see ourselves as negative. I remember I didn't think I was being negative. But once I became aware kind of how much energy I was giving these children, don't do that, sit up straight, don't touch this, I realized I wasn't giving any energy to all the times that the children were doing something right. And so I transformed that, and that was kind of a real pivotal moment in my teaching, and it spilled over to my relationship with my kids, who by that time were older, and now we have grandchildren.
So that little cartoon is trying to show that especially a child in need or is very intense, if they can't get your positive energy, they'll settle for the negative energy. They get the connection somehow or other. They want to connect with you, and they'll keep doing the things that get you to connect with them. And it's a little bit like, I think the next slide says something about it. It's a little bit like eating junk food. So if you have a bag of potato chips or banana chips, we had some last night actually. Anyway,
we were hungry, so this analogy, we thought of this analogy, we were hungry, but we didn't want to eat a whole meal, so I said, let's just buy something from that little shop down at the Krishna village. So we bought potato chips, banana chips, carrot bears, and we went back and we had a little kind of, and then we said, I feel full, but I don't feel satisfied, because it wasn't nutritious, but it did the job. So this is actually negative responses.
So when you get a negative response as a child, you get the connection with your mother or your father. So you're getting connection. But it's like trying to become satisfied. It doesn't happen. The child's not actually satisfied, but they're getting the connection. So they'll settle for it. If somebody gives you some junk food or whatever you call it, then that's what's on offer, and you take it because you do need nutrition. So we're looking to provide healthy meals as we do here at New Govardhan, so that we feel nourished.
So that little girl, that intense little girl who I see as my guru, and I'm very thankful for her. She's probably in her 30s now or something. But how I was dealing with her was I was just notching up all the time consequences. Now you can stay in a break, and now you can, and it was having zero effect. She would smile practically, this kind of wicked little smile, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? And the day I looked it up, it was, I was carrying her to another teacher because she had driven us all mad. And I realized this isn't working. And I remember I was going to give her to this other teacher and she didn't want to go. And I just put her down on the veranda and I said, Bumi, just stay there for a minute. And I just went in the classroom and then came in, brought her back. But I was thinking, I have to do something. This can't go on. It wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. Whatever I was doing, it was not helping. And the more strict I became, not that we don't have boundaries, but she was loving that, lapping it up, that attention.
So in this little video clip, you will hear a song of a mother.
It's called the Mum Song. Mothers will be able to relate to this. It shows in just a few minutes all the energy that you give all throughout the day. And what you'll notice, what I noticed when I heard this song, is that so much of it is negative. Do this, do that. And we're doing it with love and the best intention, but we forget the other side of it. So we had a bit of fun with this.
Stay tuned.
And it goes quick, so you
It's
can
really
read the
fast.
words. Do we need anything for this now?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
You okay? Yeah?
Mama. She's good, isn't she? I don't even know how she does it. Seems like. So, you can see all the energy that's we give to our children in love.
Any comments? What caught any stuck in your mind of any of the things she said? Just spontaneously. What?
It's too much, you reckon? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, with your children, too much for them.
Yes. Yeah. No wonder they don't listen to you anymore.
Now, don't they? Because it's not.
And then they don't listen because it's so much.
So, Did anyone pick up the DNA, the father's DNA? That was at
Yeah.
Kids Hope. And I love the one where she says, and don't forget I love you. She just threw it in as an add-on. We do that often with the kids. Do the and I love you. The kid, yeah.
Yes.
No, what I've done is pressed.
So that's the energy principle we've covered.
This is
it's important
somehow
principle.
this is flipped back somehow or other. Tick. We've gone all the way through that. Oh, sorry. That bumblebee's in this slideshow
Yes.
twice, and I thought it was the.
Oh no, it's the right
These
one.
bumblebees are buzzing around everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
we did that. The next one, I click it, and it goes to 0, but then the bumblebee appears. Okay,
Yep.
it's that time.
Yes.
Wow, we
So
actually got there.
yeah.
So these are the 3 aspects. So we're going to show. I said earlier we're going to show you 4 ways of administering or working with this approach, and these are the 3 stands or
Principles, wouldn't you? Firm
3
principles.
principles. Yeah. So the
Yep.
first one is no to negatives, refusing to energize negative behavior. So if you don't get this one, the other 2 will not work. You've got to get this clear that we don't ignore negative behavior, but we don't energize it. It's not the time to put the energy into it. And the second one is yes to positive, giving our energy when rules are not being broken. That's when we give the long-winded talks. You can talk as much as you want when they're not breaking rules. Tell them how wonderful it is to be with them, etc., etc. And the third one is absolutely clear boundaries. So we negotiate with our children depending on their age. Obviously, you negotiate a little bit different with a 3-year-old than a 13-year-old or a 21-year-old. But it's the same process. You want to see that the rules that you set up in your home are accepted by your children and workable for them. So you can say, is that okay for you, whatever the name is? And if it's not, you adjust a little bit like that. But remember, you're the parent. That's another one of the permissive type teaching. You ask the child, what do you want, dear? And we're listening, we're getting the rules set up by a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old. No, you're the parent, but you work with love with your child to get it so that it works for the child and for you and dad. Don't forget dad, right guys? Okay, where were we?
So
You can do that
Yep.
3-leg thing.
yeah, we've done. So that's the 3 legs. They're like the 3 main principles, and we'll give you approaches how to work around that. So the average kid or the child who doesn't cause a lot of problems, they'll back off when they get a negative response, as we explained. The intense kids don't care how the energy comes. They'll have that little boomy smile on their face. They're getting you riled up. And I had one boy in one class, and I remember saying to him, his name was Devashish. Again, he's an amazing person. I'm still connected with him. Devashish, if I chanted Krishna's name as much as yours, I'd be a pure devotee by now. Because I was all like, Devashish, don't do that. What? Devashish? And he laughed when I said that. But having the 3 stances is very important. When with that little girl Bhumi, when I read that website, and I was like, yeah, I'm not energizing anything she does positive. So I thought, I hadn't got the book by then, I didn't read the whole thing. So I went in the next day, I'm going to energize her. So I was energizing her, and I was getting some good results. But within a couple of days, because there was no boundaries, she was running the class and it wasn't working. And I thought, gee, I have to go back, get the book, find out. And I found that I didn't have clear consequences for her. I'd stopped the consequences, thinking I was just going to love her and nurture her. So that didn't work. So that's why these 3 stands, they all are important. They all have to be in place. So I created a monster of her in a week, just nurturing her all day, which was great. But no boundaries, and she thought she owned the place, and she was such a character. So we need those clear boundaries at the end. So no to negatives, yes to positives, clear boundaries.
Wonder what this is about. I think they're called orcas. Is that how you
Orcas.
say it?
Yeah, orca.
Even in Australia?
Orca.
Orca.
Not
It's an-
orca, but orca.
An orca, mate.
We used
Okay,
to
this
say
is
that.
possibly from Orlando, Florida, maybe, I think. And there's a great applause goes up when Shamu, this orca is called Shamu. So when he leaps 20 feet, whatever that is, 7, 10 K, whatever it is. What is it in metric? Teachers? About 6, thank you, very good. It leaps about 6 meters out there and everyone's applauding. This is wonderful. But where did the orca Shamu begin its training? So you might think possibly that it would just be swimming around and gradually you'd get it to sort of hop out a little bit and somehow you'd get it to go higher. The training for the orca began in the water with a rope, and they put the rope on the top of the water and didn't ask the orca to swim across it, but they took it down and down and down and down till the very bottom of the pool. And they got the orca to swim with giving some treat over here, and it would swim across the rope, and then they would get it to swim back across the rope, and gradually they would lift the rope, gradually until it came up, and the orca got the idea that you got to go over the rope. So this is called lowering the rope, so that children are not going to transform overnight. They're not going to go take this home, 2 seconds later they've got it and it's all good from there. We've got to lower the rope so that they experience success. Right now they've got a portfolio, a folder full of failure. Often you haven't got your PhD, you didn't do as good as the guy next door as we saw in the videos. So they've got a lot of input focusing on their shortcomings rather. So now we're beginning to create another folder where we're going to put in success. And the success begins at the bottom. We're not looking for overnight success, just small successes, and then as the whale did, it manages to come up and do very well. Where do we go? And Krishna does that too. If we connect it to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, always think of me, become my devotee, surrender to me fully. And most people can't do that immediately. It's like, wow, what an amazing request. So Krishna says, okay, if you can't do that, then you just follow the principles of regulative service, and there's a whole range. And then he says, if you feel that you can't do that, then do this. And eventually, basically, help an old person across the road. Start doing something pious, something good, and keep building on it till the point where you can always think and be perfected in that way. Sorry, have we got is that a question? And we we'll take this question, but we try to get through the whole thing if we can before we open up for questions. But is it really pivotal to you right now? Would it really, it's okay?
Sure.
Will you forget it though? Okay.
Okay, don't forget it.
Thanks for holding.
Thank you.
Where were we? We were there, and where did I get to? Okay, lowering the rope. Yeah, so that's enough. Over to you.
Yeah, so the more intense or the more difficult behavior with the child, the more you have to lower that rope to give them success. So you have to recognize very small things that they might do, but building up their portfolio of success. And you start to build trust. And we call it build mountains from molehills. So it might not seem, so someone will say, well, they're supposed to do that anyhow, but if they're a difficult child and they're not, they're having difficulty, then just those little things that you can acknowledge, and we'll teach you how to do that. The different recognitions we have make a huge difference.
Normally that would be the end of session 1. So feel yourself having a break, because we're not going to have one.
Do we need one, do you think? 10 minutes? What do you think?
We need. Okay, let's just do a stretch. Let's
have a
hold on.
5 minute.
Is there a clock in here?
Yeah, because we're not too bad.
Where is it?
5 past 11.
Okay, you can see the clock.
No.
So it's 5 past. give ourselves a 5 minutes break. 5 minutes from now, we're back in our seats. Does everyone agree?
Yay.
Okay, 5 minutes time, we'll see you. Thank you. 10 past.
These are working well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're working quite well.
I need to go to the toilet too. I just
That's why you wanted a break.
But then
I'm joking. It's all right. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
if they can have a drink.
Yeah,
And we're
we're
good
doing
with
good.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're halfway through.
That's why I agreed.
So there's
Whoops.
You can go through here. You'll have to come back.
You might want to take your shoes. Have you got to go back round and just in case when you go to the bathroom. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum.
This next session is so you can just do an announcement after question time. I just want to be so thinking because I just don't think that you could hear the audience.
Don't work like that. You have to hold them here.
Well, I don't know that so yeah, it starts. That's what we get it. She did that. Good nuts, right? They're like salt and vinegar or something. I thought that first they're just like an intense salty.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, there's like some vinegar in there.
I love salt and vinegar. And I like peanuts even though I know they're not the best for you. Yeah. Peanut butter.
Yeah. My dad would always have his peanuts when we watched TV and we were growing up. He always had his own little container of salted roasted peanuts. And we weren't allowed to eat.
Oh, really?
Otherwise, it'd be gone for the day.
Yeah. I feel like my grandpa always had peanuts in a bowl in front of the TV.
Yeah. Just a good snack.
What's your favorite? Probably my favorite appointment is the 10th or the 13th.
I'm curious about the ADHD diagnosis nowadays and how it's like so many children are diagnosed with ADHD.
Would you be able to comment that earlier?
Exactly. So now, like, do you think that that's because of the faster paced life and technically restrictions and stuff?
Probably.
And food?
It's like the brain needs to be like
Stimulated.
stimulated.
Because a lot of people, like my sister's son, who's 6, was just diagnosed.
Is he really energetic?
Yeah, busy. We're going through a little period right now where it's like, I feel like he needs more boundaries. This is quite often, but energizing more positive things that he's in, like, the bit of attention now. It's really wants to just become like that, you know, like.
Does he have like different outlets like sports and stuff?
He does have sports, which is really good. But yeah, so he's sort of like an occupational therapist, and medication's kind of been tossed around. It's better for the child because they can focus more, and it's just like it's so hard. Everyone says different things, and like I was put on Ritalin in high school. I was diagnosed with supposedly they say it shows up differently in females. Females are more reserved and kind of like off in their own little world, like not in their real life.
With ADHD. With ADD. ADD. Whereas males are more like physical, like they need to use their bodies and stuff. Girls are kind of a bit more like off the fairies kind of stuff. So I was on grade 11 for grade 11 and 12. It's not good. Like I definitely was.
Everything has its everything has a side effect. It's like too good something, but side effects may include the
Like not sleeping, like about tired, like depression.
I think it's something like my niece. But you're a dad and grandmother chose to put on the medication. Oh, her reading has improved, or this has improved, so then it's reinforcing the positive. Don't know. Like you're saying, there's subtler things than negatives. Sometimes it's not your decision.
Reset yourself.
You just don't know what kind of children are very similar temperaments. Passive, very easy children. So when my sister had this little boy, I was just like, what is going on? Like, you kind of think of your parenting is like, but it's actually just a little, just a different personality. Yeah. Because Michael was being raised the same as his older sister. He was quiet, he loved books, really complacent.
So you'd have to
But he's just like,
I don't see where that died. I'm curious now. Obviously there's different stuff and I don't know.
his diet is so good. His dad's vegetarian, cooks all meals, hot meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's really good. Yeah, really good. I think it's a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, they're very
Both
business.
parents and business. Business. He's not getting that attention. He needs more attention.
Yeah, it's not that he's not getting some, he just needs more.
He needs more.
Lessons will be there.
And you don't have any idea until it comes up.
No idea. So I keep thinking like when Rose got like
So she lives in Norfolk or
she was they have any like scouts or something? He's almost at that age. They do. Yeah. So he's on like every activity. He does like tap dance. He does like all the things. Yeah. It's like him with 3 little girls. Swimming. He wins like every single race across country. It's really fun. It's just
It's kind of interesting how we don't really allow space for individuality. It's kind of like this is what we can handle with yeah.
for us to get into the next grade. It's like, so there is some stage where we're physically active or like in trees and not floating math.
Yeah, it's like I
The education system is so challenging. Just like,
that's why we're wanting to go out. So we can
Yeah, like so their individual learning and stuff.
Try to find different ways. If they like climbing trees, instead of getting them to do additions on a piece of paper, getting them to count how many branches they've climbed and to add how many branches they've climbed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it. Expect these many red leaves and these many brown leaves, and if you subtract the brown leaves from the red leaves, how many, like just do it differently.
I mean, I don't know if it's naive to say that, because you could have that every intention, and then when you're stuck with like 2, 3 kids, or just even one really hyperactive kid, it's like, okay, what else do I have to do? Yeah, I think it's also good for the kid to have some relaxation. I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, this is a group. There's no single picture of Prabhupada Krishna. That's great. Can you see him? Bhaktivedanta Swami Gurukul. Nobody knows who Bhaktivedanta Swami is. Half the people don't want to be there.
Became cool for the boys. And one thing that would get sent to the corner. By the end of the year, you took the class to tiny bit. That became the game. So even if you like having it everywhere. I mean, I'm not. I'm just playing this.
I didn't exactly understand what you said.
I'm saying even if you're pushing a certain agenda, it doesn't mean you're going to get the result you want.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be presented in the right way.
Yeah, well, to be presented in the right way, it starts with the teacher. And then you can present it as much as you want with the teachers. Like we were saying, you need to be great parents first. And then, but at least that great parents needs to be there. That can
So it's great that we're all back in the room. And that we're all having a lovely Sunday morning. And be able to see if we can take it. One of the ladies here brought up this book, and this is one of the books that we studied in our training. My wife and I actually went to America twice, two summers we spent there, and we were trained in this approach, Nurtured Heart. We had the grand title of Advanced Trainers.
Advanced, it sounds wonderful.
We felt great, but we didn't know much at all.
So who had this book? You've got it. That was the book. First book I got, the very first book. Then the next I got the other book too. But that was what was fantastic. Yeah.
So talking about books, most of you do know that we have this book, which is Sattvic Sangha. Sattvic Sangha translated means association in the mode of goodness, the higher level of functioning. So there's a section in here, the 5th chapter of it, that really focuses on this nurturing and bringing out the greatness. So it's in there. We've begun. We're writing the a Krishna conscious version of Nurtured Heart. So it's nurturing Krishna's children. Most likely it'll be the title. It'll be a subtitle, something like that. But we don't have that ready. Sattvic Sangha is there. Please encourage you to get one of them. You'll get a lot of good stuff from those books. And those ones you can get if you just go to Amazon and Google. We'll send, and when we get back to New Zealand, we'll send it out, and we'll put these books on there.
That one, not that one.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So I held up the wrong book.
Like that one that you've got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And this is sorry, I'm getting mixed up with the books. This one is the same as this book, only so this is more from our relationship seminar yesterday, but relationships, but the 5th chapter is applicable completely. This is a what was it? General public version. This is more Krishna speak a fair bit. All the quotes from different places are all about the Krishna connection, you could say. And here they're from different places, contemporary authors and self-help and so on. So this is very good if you have someone. Thank you. Where were we?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you've got a sister or a brother or a mother or anyone you think, oh gosh, I'd like, so then that one's a cool book for them. Okay, enough of that and that. Right, where were we? We are now going into, I think,
Session 2,
I
16.
better plug that whole thing in. Took it out. Here it is. And it should. And it will come back. Here we go. Right. Now I think we've got to click through session 2, right? Okay. And the notes for that are here, right? Yeah. So we've been discussing in the first session, we just do a brief, and it has to be pretty brief.
Yes.
Right? 2 vastly different underlying intentions we spoke about, and we're focusing now, instead of the power and control, we were looking at nurturing the greatness. Over to you, Mal.
So regarding the power and control, I've always found that before the nurtured heart approach for me, I would disconnect from those difficult children because I felt like I'd failed them. So I didn't have that connection. So when we have some positive tools that you can really connect with, I'm not frightened now of connecting with the difficult children. Before I was like, oh no, another one. But now I'm like, I'll be able to draw out some greatness in that child. I'll be able to relate to that child. So it's very satisfying. Yeah.
Earlier this morning we were thinking of some examples of nurturing our children, so we thought of our grandchildren, and it was just a simple example came up. Murali is our first grandchild, and she has a wonderful habit she's picked up of waving every time we take her home. She'll stand on the veranda of where she is, and she's so predictable. We're driving off, whatever the circumstances be, we're ready to drive off, and we think, is she coming out this time? Surely she won't, because she had this in her hands and that thing to do. But she comes out and she waves goodbye.
Until we're gone, she'll just wave. It's so sweet.
And we nurtured her a bit, and we told her, we wrote down, told her how good that was, and it was a way that we felt she was showing her love to us and her respect for us. And she loved to hear it because it was from the heart, and it went to her heart. And you can see it when you nurture anyone in this way. You'll see it. It's a subtle energy. Okay.
So now we're going to go through the, we call them recognition techniques.
So we've got the first one up, and I think we clicked twice. Take a verbal snapshot of what you see, as if for a blind companion, without evaluation or judgment. Be in the moment. These moments are windows of opportunity to energize success. So I've basically mentioned this earlier, that this type of is the beginning recognition or way of nurturing. It's just allowing the child to see that they're being seen when they're not breaking rules, and when they're not misbehaving, but when they're being seen. So this is the beginning. And it means that I've mentioned it before, they may have been very naughty, and they may become very naughty again. But if you see that they're not being naughty, then don't ignore it. That's the time when you should connect, give your energy there.
So you reflect both actions and emotions. I'll give you an action example. Rama, I noticed you have put away all your toys without being reminded. So that's an action that Rama has done. I'm seeing it. You might think, well, he's supposed to, but I'm seeing it. And an emotions example would be, Murali, I see you're upset at your little sister, but you're trying to work it out without hitting. So it's an emotion. I'm noticing you're upset, but I notice you're trying to work it out. So that's the active recognition. And the way I remember it is just like camera, a snapshot. We're taking snap. What do I see that I can energize? But you only use it for positive things, not, I see you haven't eaten your lunch yet, or I see you, no, just for the positive things.
Now we've got a think, pair, share here. So what we're going to ask you to do is to pair up with somebody that you didn't come with, somebody different, and just we're going to ask you to look at trying to create just a small sentence or two max about something that you in your life with your children how you could utilize this concept, and just try and work with each other to go through that idea that you're noticing something, and you might not even attach an emotion to it. So
No.
it could just be without the emotion, or you can have it with the emotion.
Yes.
So you might just say something like my wife said, whatever your child's name. So I noticed that you have put away all your toys, or you've washed the dishes, or whatever it may be, without being reminded. You've noticed that. So think of something in your interactions with your children, and then share it with the other person, and allow the other person to do it.
And the emotions that you notice are, I notice you're happy playing with your sister. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You're noticing an emotion and you're acknowledging it.
Okay.
Okay?
So I'm going to do as we did yesterday. We'll ask everyone to just stand up, and then I'll clap my hand, and you can sit down with somebody else and play with that for 5 minutes. Okay, everybody have a stretch again. And just move around a little bit so that you juggle up, and as usual I've got my photographic memory and I can tell where everyone is. And just stop there and find someone and just couple up and play with that.
You got someone? Have they all got a partner? Oh yeah, they have.
They're all good?
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Do you want...
Maybe they're together, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've not moved.
You can come over here with us.
Good. Thanks, Daksha.
Oh, good.
Because we did decide it's not a bad
Yeah, no, it's good.
Give them a bit of direction. To 12:15. Doesn't tell me on this stupid thing. You think with all the tech it shows me that there's... Oh, I can... look, you go up here on this one, and it will, if you click it... Oh, it does. Sorry. Apologies to the machine. It does say it here. So we get 10. Yeah. 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 No, she said she just got it on Amazon, but whether she got prompted, yeah, you can ask her. She's actually quite a smart lady. Yeah, she's started or doing one. She's got a few other people, and it's about woman of the Mahabharata. It's a ladies kind of thing. Yeah. So is that pretty good, or is there any problem you want to bring up there? Okay, we could go on for ages. Okay, go back to okay. So make sure you give the other person a chance to use their one if you haven't already. See if... Carry on. Giving them a chance to just talk about the whole thing and what they might think, how they can take it into their own lives and maybe start using something. What she was saying is that she gets triggered and then becomes a monster like a kid. When a kid becomes a monster, she gets triggered. And so I just told her she needs to reset herself, drop the flame, and show that to the kid. You can see how these two books are completely interconnected. In that situation, she has to say drop the flame, which is in our other relationship. But when it's a relationship with your child, so it's relationships, so it's very interacting, which is good. No, I'm taking good use for that. I was thinking, is there any more I've got to do? But because we put that and that, and that's the end. That's the end of that slide. See when we see the end? So I'm saying it's good. It does let me know that without, I'm thinking I've got to check what's below it, but that's the end of that slide. One more minute on that. Yeah. Person if they want to share what they come up with, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're moving on now. I know it's hard to stop talking when you start, and we're going to count to 3, 2, 1. Listening. Thank you very much. It's hard to stop when we start, isn't it?
Yes.
It is. Anyone like to, I'm just going to take one or possibly two, something that kind of clicked for you, or something that you were discussing that maybe is inspiring to you, or
helpful.
1, 2. And if you can, don't go into too much details of the specific, but
yeah, we were just wondering at the end of saying what the snapshot was, whether we're to thank them for that behavior, or we just leave it as we saw this is what you did.
It's a great question. I'm hoping I can come up with a great answer.
I didn't know whether we should bring it back to us, like thank you for doing it for us, when it really in a way is their growth.
I don't think it's harmful. I think you could, if you really do feel, because that will encourage them more. But it's just a very simple recognition. So if you thank them every time, it might be a bit over for them.
They might
but
expect
too much. They might expect that.
Got to thank me every time I do something.
But I'm sure you could. It wouldn't hurt.
So you could just, like a snapshot of verbalizing what you've seen, you can say that without a thank you at the end.
Yes.
Say, I saw that you turned the TV off when I asked you to.
It seems very simple, but it's just showing them, my parents are seeing me when I'm doing some of that, Right. And we're going to build on that recognition, this next one. I'll show you next, which makes it even more, more effective. But snapshots are great. Yeah.
Where was I? I said 2, 1, 2, and then, okay.
So when we were doing the exercise, I got reminded that, so you can, one thing is that you mention what you see, like for example, oh, you're reading a book, that's so nice, but then also that you can reflect back to them what you see that they're sort of benefiting from. So, like for example, I can see that this makes you really calm, or
Wonderful.
or that you look like you're in a really safe space, or
Yeah, as we say in the other seminar, pour it on. If you just see them doing whatever, and you mention that to them, but if you see some quality that shows some value that they're demonstrating, the next reflection.
That's actually the next recognition, just what you've done,
and
adding a value. So
yeah, and don't worry that it's not like I can only do this in the first one, and then I can only do that in the second one. They're just 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you'll very quickly
learn to
know how to flow through it a bit.
in and out. Yep.
So specifically, we're focusing on this one, that it's just like a verbal snapshot of what you see. But don't worry if you say thank you, you throw in the odd thank you. It's not a bad idea.
Yep.
Occasionally, if you feel that's good, and then.
I just asking because how to interact with the two children. For a moment I have one, but I'm just wondering, like when you have two children at home, like little one, and then the older one and the youngest one. Mostly the youngest one is always like I want, and then I'm just wondering that if the one toys, and then they want all of them this one that toys, like I want that, and then the parents usually said give that to her, and then the oldest one missed out.
You've only got one child just now?
Yeah, but
So
I see this one is with my like experience. How you deal with that?
It's a kind of joke. I try and often joke, but you've got one.
Yeah.
So practice this with one.
Yeah.
And when you get pretty good at it, you'll most likely start to realize how you can figure out for two. But that's just one.
Can I
answer.
just say, and when they're playing nicely, which is probably most of the time, that's when you're energizing. When they have a problem, this is what I do. I'll say, if they come at me, I'll just say, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. I didn't see who took it. You're saying this, you're saying that. I'll both give you a timeout, or you can go over there and work it out. Up to you. And then you can go back to play. Every single time they choose, we're going to go and work it out. If it's not real serious, they'll go over. I do this in the classroom as well with my grandchildren. They'll go over, work it out. You worked it out? Okay, back.
Yeah,
off you go.
I just want to know, because I used to teach in the children in a Guru call, the little one. So sometimes it's a challenge for me that two kids together or three times, and they fighting in the one toys, and I said, what to do now?
Yes.
Because I don't wanna peel one each other like peel.
And you can't actually, because you didn't see it most of the time.
Yeah.
If you saw someone grab, then you could say, I saw that. But usually in those situations, and often a parent will say, oh, she's just a little baby, give it to your little sister. Yeah. And the older one feels real aggravated, but it's not fair.
I like to be fair.
It links back to the boundaries that you set up in your family.
Yes.
So when everything's calm and you discuss and you figure, and then whatever boundaries you've got, you try stick with those boundaries, and then we're going to introduce you to another level that you'll deal with it. Stay with it. We don't want more. Who else did their hand up?
Did anyone have an?
No, it's all right.
You all right?
Please.
Okay. Because we have questions at the end, but we won't get through everything.
And we're only at the first one. So sorry, give that back to Prabhu.
Give it back to
And if there is anything, when we get to the questions, hold that question, and then we can discuss it for sure. Okay, so
so that was snapshot recognition. You did that really well. Thank you. And the next, we're building upon that recognition. And it was just practically what you were saying. We're notching it up. We're digging deeper for energizing your children for success. So it's the same. You're seeing something positive. I'll give you an example. Example, Sita, you are helping Kavya with her puzzle. That's the snapshot, right? Sita, you're here. But you add on something. That tells me you're a kind and caring sister. So you're adding a value and you're acknowledging her at the same time you're seeing her and adding a value. That's called experiential recognition, or we call it, I call it myself values, because it helps me remember. But it's what you're experiencing, recognition. So you learn to, you're actually teaching the child some values here. I like, you start with I love, I'm pleased, state what you see, and then add a value. You're showing respect, you're showing good judgment. I often use for little kids, say like maturity, responsibility, and you can elaborate and use positive energy. Now, I'll give you an example of teaching values in a negative way, because a lot of parents say, I'm teaching my kids values, I'm telling them what they shouldn't do, versus this. So you heard that example, and hey, Sita, don't grab that toy from your sister, that is not considerate. And you go on, that shows me you're not being considerate. So the child's learning what it's not, but it's better if they learn what being considerate is. It's much more positive, and it will have an effect on them. Now I know what considerate is. My mother pointed it out. Okay, so that's experiential recognition. And
now,
yep.
Is that me? I think so, yeah.
Yes.
So real values education. When rules are being followed, we've been discussing that. That's what we're going to suggest is the best way to establish and instill values in the children. When values are being demonstrated and energizing moments of success. On the other side, standard values education attempts to teach values. When rules have been broken, we think that's the time to do it. Why not?
Yeah.
It makes logically it seems, oh well, that's what you do. They broke the rule. That's the time to tell them. No. Usually, focusing on the mistake of the child and delivering lecture after lecture, as you saw in the mum song. The 35th time I've told you this. Okay, I think I'm clicking on the wrong place.
So we've got technique 1, which is snapshots. Technique 2, you take the snapshot, you add a value. Now, technique 3 is called proactive recognition. Sorry, I'll just get on to the slide. And you're notching it up again. Now, for that little girl, my little guru, Bhumi, she had a bad habit. One of her bad habits, it's great for breaking bad habits, this approach, is to energize success in moments when the problem is not occurring, when it typically could occur. So she had this habit of pinching, and she'd be behind this little tiny girl on the mat pinching her. So as soon as I called them to the mat, I would, before she had a chance to pinch, she probably would have, but I'd say, Bhumi, you're sitting on the mat behind dear, you're not even pinching her. So it's showing them then that they're not doing something they could typically do. And I'm saying, great self-control. And she would be like, she couldn't pinch dear. So that would help me break that habit. So if your child is whinging and whining for something, when they're not doing it, you choose a time. Wow, you're not whinging and whining that you wanted that toy, we took you out shop. You didn't even ask for a toy. Wow, what great self-control. So it's kind of like notching it up, lowering that rope, like with the Shamu example. And it's great for breaking bad habits. Like that same little girl, she used to steal from the classroom. And one day her dad brought in a whole big bag of all the stuff she'd stolen. And he said, she keeps saying you give her all these things. And I'm like, I never gave her this box of pencils. So every night we'd check her bag. And I'd say, how are you going, Bhumi? Did you take anything today? Can we check your bag? Not like you could have been, okay, Bhumi, I know you would steal things. I'm going to check your bag, okay? Because we know you might have stolen something today. But it was more like, how's your bag today? Did you take any? No, you didn't? Wow, great self-control. So we broke that habit of her stealing and her pinching.
And I just want,
yeah.
it's such a good example of that shift in our intention.
Yes.
The shift in the intention is to see the greatness in the child, show the child that they're being successful, rather than just open up your bag and let's check it. And
yeah,
it's such an important thing.
So any behavior pattern you're trying to break, try and find a way, go deeper with proactive recognition.
So our next slide is technique 4, creative. Okay.
So there is only 4 recognitions. So once you've got these, it covers everything. So this is, you're digging deeper here.
Okay, what have I got in the notes? This is where we create successful behavior from practically nothing, fanning even the smallest spark, like starting from the bottom of the pool. Where are we going? I'll just go straight to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for an example. When he was interacting with Prakashananda Saraswati, who was the head of the Mayavadi, or the impersonal school in that Varanasi area, then he created the good fortune for Prakashananda Saraswati. He situated himself in a way where he sat in a very low position near to where all the shoes were in this assembly, when actually he should have been sitting on the highest level. But he set it up so that Prakashananda would invite him, would be... I hope I've given enough back context there. But he was, Prakashananda Saraswati had many tens of thousands of disciples, so he was a very exalted personality. Lord Chaitanya came, and instead of sitting with him, he sat in this low position. So he kind of knew that Prakashananda, being very cultured, would see this and would invite him to come to the higher level with the most senior persons in that assembly. So he created the good fortune for Prakashananda in that way. One example that comes to me is, I'll go to the example that's on here. Another one came to my mind. I was working in a school. It was called Marina View School in Auckland as a relieving teacher. And the class was going pretty well. It was going all good, and we were just about to go. We were in a group sessions. They were doing dramas, so it was about 6 groups in different places in the classroom and outside in the veranda and stuff. And we're just about to go outside in a seamless transition out to sports. So all of a sudden, just as 2 or 3 of the groups had come back in, there was a couple still out there, and then this boy came running in the door with a big pile of books, and he put them in there and he slammed them down on the floor, just smashed all over the, spread all over the classroom floor. And I was thinking, wow, what's happening here? So I was very much absorbed in this nurtured heart approach, and I thought, what can I do with this? So he was standing pretty close. I went over to him and I said, it's okay, David. I think his name. It just comes. David was his name. I said, David, it's okay. Don't worry. I said, what do you usually do in this situation? I said, has it ever happened before? He said, yeah. I said, what do you do? What do we do? And he said, they take me to the principal. And I thought, whoa. So I've got the kids going out and to start the sports, and he's throwing a wobbly that usually goes to the principal, and I'm thinking, what do I do? So I just made a decision on that point to create some success. I wasn't thinking consciously like that, but that's what happened. So I thought, it's okay, David, don't worry, you're doing fine, just stand with me. I said, I can't stop what's happening. I've got to take the kids outside, so there's a choice. You can come with me and just be with me. There's no pressure, and it will be okay, and you can just calm down. You choose. And I said, you want to come outside? I said, I won't. Yeah. I assured him that I wasn't going to do much with him. He said, you just be okay. So he said, okay. So he came out, and I spent the next period with him, just standing next to me and reassuring him that it was okay, what had happened. And I created, so it took me 2 periods actually. I kept him with me, and I started to say to him, I said, David, do you know what you're doing right now? I said, it's great. You are managing your own intensity. You were really upset, but you are calm now. And I said, it's really amazing that you're able to do that. And the boy was able to do that. He didn't need to go to the principal. So this is quite an extreme example, another one, quick one, was somebody was at the end of a class. This girl was getting up and she was heading to the board and she started to rub. I put all sorts of work up on the board for the kids and she was starting to rub it out. And then I managed to create success. Not that I'm very good, but it just shows the example. So I managed to say to her, Kalia, I think, or something like that. Kalia, I think something like that kind of name. I said, Kalia, I said, that's amazing. I said, you're rubbing out the stuff on the board that I'd like you to rub. You didn't even need to ask me. You knew what to do. I said, so could you just stop just there? That's perfect what you've done. And she walked right into it, and she got success because she wanted attention. She wanted the connection. So you can turn around stuff.
Yes. So you're creating their success, like with our little granddaughter Srimati. She's 5. We love doing art stuff together, her and me. When she comes around, we do it, and we make a big mess. And then she doesn't like the clean-up part. So at the end, before, instead of nagging her, she'll just pick up a mouse. You've already started to clean up. Wow. Shall we put the timer on and the music on? Because we always put the timer on the music. She'll go, oh, yeah. So I said, you're so good at cleaning up. And so now she's kind of got that, I'm good at cleaning up. So she's become into it. So
and she'll walk back for weeks and weeks. It's been she'll walk in, but she's had a cheese stick thing she has, and she'll sort of show you that she's got the little bit left to throw in the bin, and she's
I'm putting it in the bin.
Putting it in the bin.
You're good at cleaning up. We know that. Yeah. So you're creating the success and giving her that identity of success. So that's creative recognition.
Tra-la, tra-la. Okay, so we have discussed this a little bit, but this is the reset. And I was just sharing with one of the ladies, I think.
Sorry, can I just ask you to put your back a bit? It's making noise, isn't it? A little bit. Can you put it out a bit?
Yeah. He's the sound man.
But I'm hearing the noise. I don't usually. It's funny because he hears noise. I don't. What's happened?
It's pretty good. Is that? What do you think? Is that better?
That's better, isn't it? Yeah, it is better.
There you go.
Sorry.
No, it's absolutely good. So where were we? The reset.
The reset.
Okay. So we've clicked the reset, and we're using the example of a computer. So, okay. Did I mention that earlier today? Okay, so you know the basic concept. So, okay, so when something happens, you've set up the rules, so your child is somehow stepped out of the rules. So I'm trying to think, I'm terrible at role plays, but somehow they've done something. They've done something, and so you don't ignore it, and we don't make it fuzzy like we discussed earlier. So when we see something is not according to the rules that you've set up, you have to deal with it. Yeah? So no warnings, like I'm going to ask you to reset, or I've asked you to reset. It's just, hey, what's you got a child? Jiva.
Jiva.
Thank you. I just need something to pin this on. So, hey Jiva, could you reset, please? So you've already talked to Jiva. That's something you're going to be having to do. You've got to introduce this to your family in some way. So you say, hey Jiva, whenever we've got the boundaries, you're happy with them, make sure they're all okay, we've all agreed. And whenever you step out, all I'm going to do is say, hey Jiva, could you reset? Or my wife would use, and I use something, can you get back on track? It's just whatever words you feel comfortable with. And you say, hey Jiva, can you get back on track? That's all you're going to say. And you tell them that. Whenever you step out and do something then I'm just going to ask you to get back on track. So immediately you take your energy away. There's no connection. And get on. You might say, can you reset? I'll just get that thing on the stove, and off you go. And what you're looking for is not just to stop the naughty behavior or whatever, but you're looking for a chance to energize him. So Jiva, in a few seconds you might just pick up the plate that you were getting to the table, and you might be able to say, hey Jiva, that was a cool reset. That might be all you need to say. And sometimes you'll be thinking, oh, reset, oh. He might not even be tuned into the whole idea, but yeah, Mom, I'm pretty good at resets. Hey, what do you think? So that's what's going on. You just want to show them you can be successful, Jiva, even when you muck up. And I think did I tell you that either? I would do that in the classroom. I think I was sharing it with you, Mataji. That so you get triggered, right? We all get triggered. So you maybe in a classroom and there's 3 people, the boys are doing this, the girls done that, and someone's just walked out the door, and you're like, wow, what? And you get triggered, like, sit down, and you stop nurturing and you go back into the old manager mode. So that would happen sometimes. So I would think, I say, hey kids, what do you think Mr. Howie should do right now? And I'd be saying, look, hey, hold on there, hey, come back in. And I said, what do you think Mr. Howie should do right? And I saw 4 or 5 hands went up. He said, reset yourself, Mr. Howie. And I said, yeah, exactly. Okay, calm, Mr. Howie. And I'd show the kids how, basically just get back on track. Be calm, Mr. Howie, don't worry, it's okay. And then the kids would love it. And that's something that if you do that with your children, show them that you muck up, you get off track, you get triggered, and you break the rules yourself. And you reset yourself. So it's a great modeling for the kids to pick up. And it becomes fun. It's like fun. Oh, mum reset herself, or dad reset herself.
So it's not punitive. You're just giving them another opportunity to get back on track. You turn away your energy. Because if you give your energy, like you were saying, I'm waiting for you, I told you to reset, you can imagine what's going to happen. It's punitive. You're giving that energy. But if you turn away, great, you've reset. Give them a minute, 2 to get back on track. I call it back on track, but you can call it reset, whatever.
And you're looking for the shortest amount of time. It's not like reset, and as the woman said there, you're grounded for you're grounded for the next 36 years. The reset, you're looking for as quickly as possible to get your child back into the game. The game is that we follow the rules here, and it's fun. So many things. So this is an introduction. There's so many more things that we could say, but that's what you're going to learn as you try practicing this, and you might send for a book and all of these things. Wait. You going to that initial or not?
Isn't it? Sorry. Oh yeah. Okay.
Quite a funny little example.
Yes. Yes. So the idea that they want your energy, and when you're resetting them, I had one example of a little boy who he used to bite his toenails. So one time I just couldn't help myself. He had his foot in his mouth. How he did it, I don't know. I'd say, Shell, ooh, you're biting your toenails. That's so gross. I couldn't help myself. I got triggered. Anyhow, then I noticed every kid in the classroom, foot in mouth, biting their toenails. Because I thought, they want my energy. So I realized I was what is called leaking energy. I was leaking negative energies. So next time I did it, Michelle, reset, and wow. And he put his, wow, you've done it, well done. So I wasn't giving him that negativity. It was just a quick turn away, great, good self-control, wonderful.
And my wife said they're well done, which is absolutely good. But part of the approach is that you'd be looking, because when a child hears well done, you reset. It's good, they get the idea they've done something right, but if you can connect it to a quality that they're just demonstrating, I'm trying to think what that quality might be.
Self-control?
Yeah.
Yep. You've not got your foot in your mouth, great self-control.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
And then all the kids go, oh, self-control. Yeah, I want that. I want acknowledgement for that. So, yeah.
Okay, we're clicking.
So just be careful of the leaking of the negativity when you're giving the reset. Don't go there. It takes a bit of practice.
A momentary interruption in the problem that's occurring at that particular moment. That's all it is. Then jumping right back to the next available moment of success. We're all about finding success for our great children. And by doing that, we are going to be great parents. And we'll all live happily ever after.
And as we were saying, you won't get
children to make them this best child that they can possibly be, but you can't. That's up to them. They have their greatness, and it's going to manifest in whatever way it manifests. So it's about us changing our focus to nurturing their greatness, so that they can quickly get back on track. So that's the change that has to come about. that we change our intention from just trying to manage them, control them, and show that mum knows everything, or whatever, dad knows everything, to allowing them to manifest their greatness. And that will be a good arrangement. So over to you, Vimala.
We were going to put up all of those so they could read them, remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, while we're doing
Let's speak to the point.
So
Okay,
yeah,
go.
not focusing on changing everyone. I remember when my son, who's 47, our son, he was a teenager, and I was very worried about him, as you do with teenagers. So I was talking to the elderly Mahavishnu Maharaj, and he knew Nandu from when he was very young. So I said to him, he said, "How's Nandu?" And I said, "Maharaj, I'm worried about him. He's not doing so well. He's being this, he's being that." And he looked at me and he said, "Don't you worry about Nandu. He'll follow you. He'll follow you." And I'm like, "He'll follow me?" He said, "Yes, you worry about you, because eventually he will follow you. He'll look up to you. If you're happy, if you're satisfied, if you're a good devotee following, eventually he will follow you." And then he laughed and he said, "Even if it's after you die." Okay. So what he said, those wise words, I've passed on to many people, and I just stopped worrying about him and started to nurture him. And what he said happened, and I didn't have to die. He sorted himself out, yeah, all those things that he said, and now, you know, he's amazing. I look up to him. So yeah, so we can change ourselves, because they will look at you. But if you're all the time lecturing and they say, "Mum and Dad, they're just so miserable," I don't want to be like them. If they want to be like you, if you can show that, then yeah, like they say, your actions speak volumes louder than your words. Okay, so don't worry too much about your children. My brother, my brother was an alcoholic, and he said to my mother, worried and prayed and did everything for her. And one day he said to her, "Mum, don't worry about me. I'll be all right." Makes me think something's wrong with me. And eventually he got over that too. He got over his alcoholism. And so I learnt that my mum said to me, "Don't worry about your kids. Show them you have faith in them. Show them that they're going to be all right. You've got confidence in them."
So some common mistakes when we're trying to utilize and get used to this idea of just the reset, and why kids might reject it. So some of those things would be your rate of recognitions are too low. So you might be occasionally seeing that you see them and then adding a value to it, but it might be we put up here, it's not juicy enough. There's not so we should really juice it up when you're trying to nurture and create success for your kids. So if it's not working so well, the reset means it's better being out of the game, and you get more connection being naughty and stuff than being in. So you really have to do that. You're trying, but you're not delivering with enough energy. You're not getting animated as you used to get about the negative materials. You can really easily get animated when you're into the negative. So put as much energy in to the nurturing. Another one that will stop things working is if the rules haven't been clearly defined, or if the rules seem to have shifted, because they're always changing in life, right? So you set up some rules 1 week and everyone's happy. 2 weeks up the track, you might need to review them. You might have to become a bit blurred or so on. So keep checking in with them about the rules. Are we okay with all the rules? Yep. And when I ask you to reset, does that work for you? And yeah, keep close. And if you do require a different kind of reset, that it's not working and you have to deliver a consequence, say for example, loss of computer time, you may find that might be required. Home time, going to bed time, all the kinds of things that are there in a family. Deliver it without energy. If you do put something in place, then don't come on too much, but put it in place and then get back into what you need to do about nurturing them.
So just on that, giving the recognitions not being juicy enough, when we were getting trained by Howard Glasser, in America, I remember saying to him, "Oh, I just haven't got all those words to describe. You know, I'm an Australian. We just say what we think, and we, you know." And he was saying, "But you probably use a lot of words when you're correcting kids, right?" And I thought about it, and I went, "Yep, I do." He said, "So just change it round. Don't use many words. Don't get into too many words when you're correcting, and change it over." So I did that. So that was good.
And we found in the books that we already showed you from Nurtured Heart Approach, there's pages there, you know, there's 3 or 4 sections where there's pages of vocabulary, and you can go through, so, well, that's a far out word. Usually it'll end up, there's maybe 100 words, and you reduce it down to maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, depending on what resonates with you, and pick up some more words for the vocabulary.
And you extend your vocabulary and your children's, because I'll say to my little 5-year-old granny, "You're being very considerate." And she'll look at me like, "Do you know what considerate means?" And then just what you're doing by caring for this or putting your paper in the bin, that shows consideration. And the last one on that is, do not leak negativity like this. Wow, Sita, you have actually cleaned up after yourself. Finally. You can see how that's leaking. You're acknowledging, but you're setting a boundary, but finally. So that is that one. And how we go?
Okay, just briefly, as we move towards the end and questions and answers, children's experience, we just want to reiterate, feelings of self-worth. The children start to have a little bit of self-confidence, not inflated false ego, but builds the inner wealth. And somebody asked a question on this last time we presented it. Don't think, sometimes it's a very sheltered environment, so somebody was, a very clever question, they were saying, well, if we treat our children like this and they're all full of greatness, but how are they going to deal in the world out there where people aren't looking for their greatness and they're giving them a hard time, and aren't we, yeah. So don't be afraid of that. If you build inner wealth in your child and you nurture them this way, they'll be the most beautiful children who'll be able to deal with the world.
They'll be strong.
They'll have strength. Don't be afraid that you're going to disable them by treating them this way. It's actually more real than the other way. Where were we? Sorry, click. Done. Next.
Now, common mistakes, just briefly going through. Low rate of recognitions, not delivering with enough energy. I think we covered that. Again, we covered that. Unclear, fuzzy boundaries, and leaking negativity. We covered all of those already.
Applying the approach. As Vimala said, you might feel awkward when you first got on a push bike. You fell off.
Yeah, I did feel awkward at first. I said, "Oh."
When you got on your push bike?
Yes, definitely too. But when I started doing it, it just wasn't natural at first, but after a while it becomes so natural that it's unnatural to be the other way, if you get what I mean. So at first it's practice. Don't expect to get it right all the time, especially at the beginning.
And somebody was sharing that in the break, that you try it a little bit and then you think you're doing okay, and then the months go past and then you feel, oh, I've lost it. Just get back onto it, get back into the book. Just like Bhagavad Gita, it said, somebody will say, have you read Bhagavad Gita? You say, I read it. But you have to keep reading it. You've read it once, but you've got to keep reading it. So similar to this approach, you've got to keep revisiting it. And remember, if you think it's hard work revisiting this, have a look at your life without it, and you'll find that you're really working in not a great space. You're working hard. Okay, you can reset yourself, nurture yourself as well as the children.
Yes, big one. And over time, again, it will become natural. It'll become your new default setting.
And we're hoping with the podcast that we're putting together that we'll be able to give you some support and send you something that we're going to be talking about this special subject in this podcast. And like to do that. Well, believe it or not. And I was thinking earlier how beautiful Krishna is. Have a look at that personality up there. Isn't it so sweet?
Those eyes.
You wouldn't have trouble nurturing Krishna, would you?
No.
Although he was anyway.
He was naughty.
He was pretty naughty.
In his childhood pastimes, transcendentally naughty.
Okay, so questions and answers, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Any questions on the approach from start to finish or anything that came up? Mataji?
Oh, she's got it.
Oh, you got
She's
it.
going.
You had that question.
Yeah, I can tell my question now. So you answered one of my questions, which
Did we?
was,
Good.
Was in capture was how old is too old, which you answered. To like how to apply it and what you can start at any age. And then my other one was
Mike, keep the mic close. I can't hear you so well.
okay. Another one was because I like read little topics and parenting styles just to get an idea for my future or our future. And one of them is when you give your child too much affirmation, they can get this thing of like a people-pleasing mentality where they kind of seek the positive affirmation. But then hearing this again, I was kind of thinking that maybe you can just say whether I'm on the right track or not. Was the people-pleasing mentality comes from not recognizing them enough and kind of focusing more on the negative and then being positive here and there. So then they're kind of seeking that positive affirmation because they're receiving too much negativity.
You got it, I think. Yeah, definitely. Because when you're giving them acknowledgement and energizing what they're doing right, it gives them confidence, and that confidence isn't arrogance. Yeah, sometimes we think it might become, or they won't be needy. They won't be like, I want to please you. Like, I know with my father, he never gave us, he had 5 kids, right? He never said one nice thing to us. And we were all trying hard to please him, right? But we couldn't. So that makes you needy, right? That makes you needy. You want to become a people pleaser. Yeah.
And I think your question relates back to this lady's question a little bit about the thank you factor. Just be a little cautious of the factor. And you actually articulated it in your question. You said, if you're holding it up as this is a way to please me, then what you're saying kind of cuts into that a bit. That it could be seen like all this is just for them to please me, but it's actually meant to show them their greatness and develop there. So you can use it sometimes, but you'll know the way you expressed yourself showed that you used quite what the...
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it was on the point of when the children don't want to reset, or maybe I didn't explain it properly, but it comes to a point where my son, for example, will be like, I don't want to have a shower, or, even though we say, okay, I would tell him, when do you want to have a shower? He'll be like, okay, in 5 minutes. But he still doesn't want to have the shower. So I usually have to force him under the shower, and I don't want to do that.
How old is he?
8.
Oh,
and
gosh.
then he'll be like,
I'm glad it's 8. I thought it was 18, and I thought, gee, that's tough. I'm like, wow.
So
He's 8, okay.
Then it's always on like, it's not fair.
So
just because you're bigger.
what about the rule? What about your
rules,
agreements and
your boundaries?
That's something you could chat with them and say, look, this shower thing, you don't want me nagging you all the time. When do you want to have your shower? What's a good arrangement? And something that works for both of you, and you come to the agreement on that. And when that's the time he said, yeah, I don't want to have it till 9, and you say, well, 9's too late. You're supposed to be at school at 9, or whatever. And you negotiate it through, but it's working. And then you use the reset. And you ask, that I'll just ask you to reset, and you know what to do.
And if it's one of these issues, you develop a consequence that he agrees to, right? At the time, you develop a consequence. So this is going to happen if you don't have the shower. And you're going to miss something or whatever.
You could say that to him. Yeah. So it's been tough for us both trying to work this thing out. So, yeah.
But he's very detached. He'll be like, no, I don't care. I don't want it anyway. So
sounds like it's time for him to move out. He's only 8. I'm joking.
He's already acting like a teenager. So
Yeah, yeah.
But his dad say, "Oh, let him stink," and I'm like,
Let him
"No,
stink.
it will
Okay.
reflect
That's a
bad on
natural
me."
consequence.
So people will be like, "I'm such a bad mom. I send my kids to school stinking," isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that is one strategy. You could say, well, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to go to school stinking. But how many days? He doesn't mind.
It doesn't mind.
Yeah, but the teacher might have something to say about that. Yeah. So, yeah, if that's not acceptable to you, that he stinks, I get that. So you'll have to have a natural consequence, something that means something to him, you know? But, yeah, and energizing when he does have a shower. I mean, is it every day he puts that on or just nearly every day? So it's become a habit. Yeah, yeah. So you do need to work out a boundary for that one.
But could a boundary be food? Like I usually try not
Gonna
to say,
starve
"Oh,
them.
if you don't have a shower, you're not gonna eat." Can I say that?
Not a great idea.
Not eat anything or?
I don't know.
Until he gets in the shower.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yep. Well, I don't know.
It's very difficult to.
Each is individual.
It's very individual who you are, what you can tolerate, what's workable for you.
What works? Yep.
Somebody with their hands up. Is this to discuss? Hold on. Stop.
Hold on. Yep.
Slow down and start again.
Yeah.
You shouldn't use the food as a punishment.
Yes.
Oh,
You
yes, food.
shouldn't. No.
Yes.
No,
I would say.
It's a life.
Yeah.
Like
He might starve.
Yeah.
We don't want him starving.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah. We don't want him starving.
So I'm sure we'll come up.
You come
with
up with an
something
appropriate.
other than
that's good.
starving him. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry.
And-
Hold
and-
on. Help me here.
Sorry.
I don't know what's happening here. So it went and then it's gone over there. and I
They're
don't know
trying
what
to
we're
help
doing.
her
What
work
were you
it out.
suggesting, Prabhu?
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
should have a little. Yeah. Okay. So we'll enter
Yep.
into that then, because I don't want us to just.
And
bounce all around.
incentives are okay. You know, as long as you're not bribing with, but incentives are okay. We use them all the time. You know, incentives are okay. But yeah, you do have to have a boundary and you have to stick with it. Yeah. Yeah, very good. That is true.
Can you
Often
use
it's
hold
a
on,
bluff.
stop. Just we need to keep this.
Yeah.
Use the mic so
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
can hear. Otherwise, we're getting all over the place.
It was very good what he said.
Please
Can you
say.
say that?
When they say they don't care, that's often a bluff.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah. I don't care.
They're testing out.
Yeah. Good one. Yes.
And I've got a suggestion. I don't know if it's good. Do you work? Because the two of you are here together. Do you work?
They're not together.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
These two are together. Remember?
Oh, sorry. Who's your husband?
Well, husband and wife.
And she put her hand up.
That's
Hold on.
your wife and husband. Children. He's not.
Your husband's not here. Sorry. And you. Okay. So when you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about any embarrassment by anyone. Okay. So where did we get to?
You were saying we could kind of help work it out. That was what's saying, some suggestions out. But it is very individual. And you said something, yes.
Giving a chocolate or putting it out there, here you go, we're going to have chocolate after you finish
Yes.
the shower, or cheese or something that they like.
Yeah.
Not overly.
Something that they look forward
yeah,
to.
Yeah, they always look, if they love something, give them
Yeah.
that as a incentive, like
Yeah.
just for having.
Yes.
Make it fun. Play with them.
And you're always going to have. I'll just comment occasionally, and then we'll keep going. But you're always going to have so somebody's usually a husband and wife. There's the good cop and the bad cop. So you'll get it. The lady say, "My husband's so weak, and he doesn't stand up to them," or the vice versa. Turn it around. So the kids, they'll play it. They know. They check out what's going on, and
yes.
So good if husband and wife can get on the same page. Tune in about what's going on and try and support each other in the decisions they have to make and counsel each other, you know, and try and help each other so that your child can get as smooth a playing field as possible in the yeah.
And they will try and bluff you, because I had a boy just the last week of school before we came here, And he said to me, he kept saying, I'm sick, I need to go in the chill out tent. We have a chill out tent. I said, Madhav, are you really sick? Because in half an hour we're going to have free play. So if you're really sick, you'll have to stay in the chill out tent. You won't be able to have free play. And he goes, yeah, that's all right. I said, you sure on that? We got a deal? Okay, pinky, the deal. It goes in the chill out tent. Okay, now it's time to free. I feel okay now. I'm good. But do you remember our agreement? Class, do you remember the agreement? Yeah. Sorry, Madhav, but you're going to have to say, but you can do some reading in there, okay? How's that? He was not happy at all, but he did it, and I acknowledged him after he did it. He was not happy. He was sitting in that chill-out tent thinking, oh, I should be out there playing with we had blocks and things, free play. But I kept to it because I knew, and the next time, he wasn't going to throw that one on me again, like the bluff, like you were saying, because he didn't want, he didn't want to, so I had to be very firm with the consequences on that one. And then I could acknowledge him at the end of the day. And Madhav didn't get to play at the free play time. He did and he even did some reading in the tent. Well done, Madhav. And then he, so he didn't feel bad, but he had to suffer the consequences.
So it's not easy to stay fixed on wanting to bring the greatness, but if you stick with the process,
get creative,
be creative,
find a way.
That's your intention, and your child will feel it. They'll feel it. They feel the domination stuff, and they'll feel this energy too, and they'll become quite comfortable with that new energy. Any other question? Oh, what? Yeah, Mataji?
Savannah?
No, Savannah, you were for, because I know you've been trying to ask this question for a while.
Oh, this is a different one now. What you were saying, sometimes it's good to say, oh, it's so nice that you didn't, bug me for something.
Yes.
After
Proactive.
the event. I'm just imagining doing that to my daughter, and I just imagining she'll be like, actually, yeah, no, I do want that, and it'll just trigger like to re-want it because you've reminded her of something.
Yeah.
So do you not think that would happen?
And you could say, if she does say that, yes, and I'd love to be able to give it to you, so next time in whatever, it's not that you want to deny everything, but if it's something that you don't want her to do, I would just reiterate what you said. But I'm finding it so helpful that you stop whatever it is, that I just want to acknowledge you again for that. Don't buy into it if it's something you don't want. And that they'll settle down. Don't give it energy, and it'll settle down. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to take the question for sure. I'm just looking at a watch. It's 25 past, so this will be the last question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We have agreement on that? And if anyone breaks it, we'll reset, and it won't be sorry.
Last question of this section or everything? Because I've got 3 things I wanted to ask.
Okay, maybe we can talk later.
Continue,
but
so that everyone can go to lunch.
We all need to go for lunch.
Well, I just want, because we were talking about your son, and I just had the idea that maybe, like for example, something I would do, I would just sit down and try to understand why he doesn't like to shower. So I'll be okay, what is it about the showering that you feel like?
Great idea.
Yeah.
And then maybe try to come up with something to make it more fun for him. So maybe what if we get you a toy that's your shower toy, like that you only use when you're in the shower, or something like that. But with that, the other thing was, and it was mentioned already, that what happens if one of the parents don't follow the rules, right? Like we put up rules as a family, we discuss it, like I have teenagers, and then the problem that I have is that the other parent is not good at following, and so I really struggle with my kids when we do put up rules, discussed with them, suggestions that they made, but then they don't follow it themselves. And then in the end, it's like I'm the only one in the household that's following it. And I find that to be really hard because, you don't have the other adult also showing the example.
Yes.
Of following.
I would say that needs a crucial conversation.
That's exactly what I was.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many times I have that conversation with that
You've
adult.
had a few crucials.
So many times.
And then
if you could, with your husband or
with your husband?
With my husband, yeah.
Yeah. So the crucial conversation can end in, like we call the third alternative. Well, this isn't working for me. What can we do to make it work for both of us? So just coming to some kind of understanding, because I'm sure he wants that you've got some discipline with the children, and he doesn't want to make it hard for you, right, your husband? So if you can discuss with him, and let's come up with something that works for, because this isn't working for me, and I'm sure it's not working for you. He may have some input on how to do it or how he wants it to work. So that's all I can offer, is it needs a crucial conversation and some kind of what we call the third alternative of what's going to work for you both.
And when you're trying to create that conversation, just be cautious that it's not seen as that he picks up that I'm the only one that's wrong here, and you're trying to fix me, and you'll most likely end up in a battle of some kind. You don't want that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but if you come that Vimala was saying that things aren't working so well, so can we chat of how we can maybe make things work so that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think my situation maybe is a little bit different, because it's sort of like if you have a partner that maybe is on the spectrum, and so you're dealing.
Translate on the spectrum
on
for me,
spectrum.
just very
Spectrum
briefly.
in terms of like maybe they have like maybe autism or ADHD or bipolar or something like that.
Right.
And so it is almost like impossible for them to actually be consistent. Like, how do you deal with something like that when you have a situation like that?
Yeah, I'm joking. Sorry, but it's,
yeah.
So I would suggest if you do want to, we can chat a little more.
Yeah,
but,
I'll think on that one.
And pray to Krishna,
yeah.
we'll see if we can
think on
work
that
through
one.
it, because it's quite complex.
Quite a hard one, yeah. Okay, thank you
for that. It is time. We actually completed. Thank you all so much. If you do want, we can't give you the other books because they don't belong to us. If you do want one of the Sattvic Sangha books, we're most happy. They're $20 each. If you want to give more than 20, that's great, because it helps us to travel to do what we're doing. Please feel free to come up and get one, and Suvana Mataji might be able to help that out. Thank you very much. Haribol. Yeah. Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari. Oh, Mum was.
My mum was watching on the webcam. She was like, they've got great points.
Oh, that's good. That's encouraging.